Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Underground Kings podcast. Today I've got Nico Parisi, and we've got the big dog back in the room.
I'm back, baby.
Will Young.
Yes, sir.
It's good to have you both on. Today we're going to kind of, we're going to let conversation flow per usual on this podcast, but generally speaking, we're going to be covering the topic of relationships in life, be it with a spouse, a partner, male, female, male, we're going to be talking about relationships as a whole. And I think kind of to kick things off, we're going to talk about male relationships with other men. So why don't we just get things started, give us kind of a little bit of your individual philosophies about male relationships, male camaraderie, etc. Nico, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so a couple points top of mind. One thing I would say you want to prioritize is surround yourself with people that can make yourself better, right? So find a crowd that, maybe there's some entertainment value there, but at the end of the day, you're learning something from them. And growing up, a lot of more, like a basketball community, right? Trying to get skilled at that type of sport. As I've gotten older, networking has been a big one. So really just trying to make sure you can learn from these people you're surrounding, because again, time is money. And if I'm going to be wasting my time on people that are a waste of time, that's not much value there. So the primary focus for me, my philosophy has been to learn from these individuals that you surround yourself with. And on the other side of that too, you want to make sure you can give them something too. I wouldn't want it to be necessarily kind of a one-way street there.
Well, there's only so long that a group of guys are going to hang around you if you have got nothing to bring to the table. So you're absolutely right with that.
Yeah.
So I would say it's you're going through the walks of life. So your teenage years, your friends, best friends, it's more entertainment value. As you're getting older, especially after college, you want to get with people who are going to help you, but also you provide value to them. So I call it shooting the shit. But shooting the shit, you're talking about a lot of things. Entertainment, maybe what's going on in your life. But that's also value as well. And then also talking about you're in a financial situation. What's your plans? What's your future plans? Long-term goals, short-term goals, right? So that's kind of the way I look at it. There's always needs to be a value exchange. What tends to happen too is we do stuff that is a lot on the negative. Going out, drinking, clubbing, spending money, bottles, that kind of stuff, hanging out with girls you probably don't need to hang out with. It's a lot of time wasters. So another thing too, I kind of look at it as like you have categories. Like you may have friends that are entertainment to you. You may not talk to them for half a year, but when you catch up with them, it's the best time of your life. And then there's other people that you're going to develop relationships with, excuse me, and they happen to then just be, I don't even look at it as friends, just more or less business partners.
Right.
And you want to discuss real things, how to become better, like I said, in your finance, fitness, working out together. I think the biggest thing too is if you can get people together to work on a common goal, we all get better naturally as well. That's the way I look at friends.
I'm similar. I'm similar kind of to both your regards. I think you're both highlighting, a similar prospect for what a male friend looks like. I have less so. I feel like as I've gotten older, very much so in my younger years, it's entertainment, like you said. It was buddies that wanted to have fun, wanted to chase girls, wanted to play sports, etc. But the older I get and the more, I work a lot. I'm trying to surround myself with guys that are looking to work with me and looking to collaborate on things, looking to talk business. So for me, I feel like as I've gotten older, I've almost seen kind of this mesh where the guys that I'm working with, that I'm, talking business with, going to the gym with, are the guys that I'm recreationally sitting down and we can have a laugh too. We can have a good time. We can go to the cigar shop and just shoot the shit for an hour and have a good time. So like for me, I just found that, for a while it was like separating the two. It's like, okay, these are my friends that I just hang out with and have fun with. These are my business partners or the guys I hang with to do business or talk business, whatever it is. I found that just the merger just makes sense at some point in your life. It just makes sense. So very, very good points. As far as when you have males in your friend group, one of the things that I really stand for is, Nico knows firsthand. I spend a lot of time with Nico. Like, I'm challenging on my friends. Like, I'm difficult to my friends, but it is because I want that to be reciprocated. I'm going to call you on your bullshit because I want you to call me on mine. I'm going to call you out when you're slacking on something because I want you to call me out when I'm slacking on something. And I think that that's really an integral component of male friendships, male relationships, is having a band of brothers, more or less, that, one, you have each other's back. Loyalty and respect is what that is predicated upon. And just being able to count on them to call you out or call you on your bluff and make sure that you're always striving to be better. Where do you guys kind of stand on that? And what do you feel? Also, maybe feel free to provide like some real world examples in your current life of like some relationships you have with friends that do call you out or.
Yeah. So I have, going back to what we were saying, I have friends that are more entertainment value, but also we just talk about just life in general. But I have two people off the top of my head where he disagrees on an idea that I might be talking about. And I have another one, we might be just mainly talking about girls, relationships, but he ties in religion into it. So it's a new perspective for me to open up my eyes a lot more, really open up my mind. What I've seen with those two, it's actually helped me to just have a different perspective instead of being so, I would say, black and white, kind of have open mind and see like, okay, where's he coming from? Like, why does he think this way? And another thing too, I was in a world where I was a lone wolf, quote unquote. Essentially, you're doing stuff by yourself all the time. You don't need help, quote unquote, especially my college years. So now, as I'm 25, what I did was I just bought myself into a group. I invested my time into a group who are guys like me or a little bit older that would hold me accountable if I, messed up, right? And I would hold that particular group of people as well. It's like, hey, you're doing X, Y, and Z, and just learning from those experiences. That's helped me a lot. Just shape my thought process.
I think alongside of that, the biggest thing you want with whoever you surround yourself with is greater perspective. I could double, triple down on that.
Yeah.
Whether it's religion or even political, I'm a political person. You want to actually understand where they're coming from. Otherwise, the conversation's almost pointless. You're going to just be talking past one another instead of actually getting to an agreement. I would say that's the biggest thing as well. And then, like you said, you just want to be able to make sure that there's just personal growth in that. So we've talked about this a lot when it comes to networking, right? Mm-hmm. I do it in a very, I guess, low-key way in my financial advising industry, LinkedIn, certain things. Like, I connect with people. When it comes to more in-person social events, that's something you've always pushed me to do. That is still in development, to say the least. But I think you just want to, just from what we talked about before, your time is money and your time is valuable. You want to put that to where there's going to be some sort of growth in it. So whether it's, investing monetarily into some sort of group or it's just your time and effort, I think the biggest thing you want to get out of it is just growth personally.
You're going to get out what you put in.
Yeah. When
it comes to your relationships in life in general, any kind of relationship, you're going to, you get what you give kind of thing. So I think, that's why, I've pushed you to do the in-person relationships, and Will and I, we were having cigars the other night and just got into conversation about this of, in-person relationships give you something that no online relationship or non-in-person relationship will ever give you. Like you're never, I can honestly say that I have never fully trusted or connected with someone that I had never met in person. I don't know if you two would say the same, but
yeah, I would say the same in person. What I've found is it's not necessarily in person as well, because we're in the social media era. you could actually see like what's he doing to hold me accountable, but it may not be like, hey, you're screwing up. It's he's doing something that I'm lacking in, and I think it's just a self accountability thing as well. You know, we're not going to be hanging out every day. You're screwing up. You know, you're screwing up. So I think, like for me personally, what I like to do is, man, this person's really doing well, you know, in whatever it may be. Okay, I can definitely see where I'm lacking, and let's go ahead and, you know, 10 toes forward and let's go ahead and do this thing.
Yeah, and hit it again. I think the accountability is the biggest part because you can almost hide behind the ether. You know, maybe you're making appearances of attempts at personal growth or development, but when you actually make those connections and you're in person, it's like, well, actually, have you been? You know, have you been going to the gym? It doesn't look like it. Or, hey, you've been eating a little too much. You look a little, you know, extra, right? Absolutely. So, yeah, I would second that as well.
You're absolutely right. I mean, you know, it's if you were just going back to the lone wolf conversation, like I was a lone wolf for a very long time. You know, when I was starting out my businesses, all these different things, I cut a lot of, you know, prior relationships that I had, friendships, like cut a lot of people out of my life, very much kind of was basically isolating myself to focus on my personal development, my personal growth, working out, building business. To me, it was like that was my primary focus. But what part of what I lost in that is in the more challenging moments, I would have been in a position to pick myself up a lot faster if I had had some help getting up. And in reality, that's what my male friend group is now for me, is like, I know for a fact that I have a list of numbers that I could call if I was like struggling going through something, or like something in business wasn't going right and I just needed like a new set of eyes on the situation, like something that wasn't emotionally connected to the business. I have a list of numbers that I could dial and people would pick up and I could be like, hey, like, can you link up this week? I just want to run something by you. And someone would show up. You know, that's something I didn't really have before. And what I learned was, because the thing with the whole lone wolf mentality, especially in like the whole entrepreneur community and whatever, and the personal development community, gym community, what have you, it's overglorified. It's almost like they make out the lone wolf to be like this dark presence that's like powerful, lingering in the shadows, ready to strike, getting stronger. No one sees them. And then they come out of the shadows and they're this behemoth. But in the real world, I mean, look at nature. Nature's a beautiful reflection of kind of human connections and our world and society and the way it works. And that's like the lone wolf starves. The lone wolf starves majority of the time. The wolf that eats the most and is the strongest is the one that's a part of the pack, that learns its role in the pack and kind of just they're hunting together, they're protecting each other, etc. So that was kind of like a big pivotal point for me, was leaving that ego behind. It's like the death to myself was leaving behind the whole lone wolf mentality and learning like I need some other guys in my corner. I need to roll with a pack.
One thing as well, if I can add, I think like you said with the lone wolf, it's very difficult for you to become an expert in everything. It's just almost impossible. So why not put yourself around individuals that have that certain niche that they're doing and doing pretty well. So whether it's, you know, fitness or social media, finance related, networking, just in general, just learn, I guess, take the opportunity to meet individuals and make connections to just, again, come back to that personal growth, just learn something. I mean, they're really, besides personal ego and stuff, like there's no downside to it. It's just, you know.
It's funny you said that lone wolf, but then you said pack of wolves. So it's like you need the pack of wolves.
Right.
And what tends to happen with the lone wolf mentality, or that kind of any sort of independent, I got it, becomes arrogance. And you no longer grow with arrogance. You need to set your ego aside because you don't know shit unless somebody tells you shit, right? So I knew when I started, when I was growing, when I wanted to work on myself with health, I looked up people who were better than me. So I set the ego aside, and then now it comes into how do I get in the health and fitness business, I hired coaches who can help me with that because they've actually done the work. So setting the arrogance, like I said, you don't know shit until someone tells you shit. That's the way I look at it.
If you're embarking on something new or trying to learn and acquire a new skill or a new talent, I've heard it said before, and I'm an avid believer in just go straight to the top. There's so many guys too, I think, that get caught up in like they feel like they need this person that they can be in a room with and be like, okay, Nico, like how do I invest? How do I do X, Y, and Z? And sure, it's great to have someone like that in their corner. But at the same time, someone who's overwhelmed by this big agenda of like, okay, I want to learn how to invest my money. There are countless books and videos and podcasts and interviews of multi-billionaires that have grown their wealth through investment. And yet, like, you're caught up in, I can't find anybody to help me. It's like the knowledge is right there. Like, go straight to the top. If you want to learn, like, why learn from a guy that's 20% better than you or 3 miles down the road from you when you can find a guy that's at the peak of the mountain that you want to get to? Like, if I want to, when I started researching how to start a social media marketing company when I was first getting started, I didn't watch every social media marketer on YouTube because there's probably thousands of them. I went to the guys that were making the most money, the guys that had the biggest social media marketing companies, and I watched their content. Like, what was it? How were they thinking? Like, what is it that they were doing? I don't know. The other thing too is, like, going back to what you said is, surround yourself with people that like have skill sets that complement yours or that you don't have. How many years have you been in finance, studying finance?
6, 7 years now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I could spend 6 years learning what you know now and apply it, or I could just ask you the question. But I have to drop the ego to ask you the question.
Yeah, completely agree.
I would say as well, like, when it comes to, learning and everything, at the end of the day, doing the action, in my opinion, is how you learn best, right? So you want to actually, you can talk about it, you can read about it, but until you actually implement that, that's where you're just going to feel the growth, because you're not going to it's not going to be something out there necessarily. So whether it's, finance related, you learn about investing, you actually do it, whether it's learning about optimal diets and then just not doing anything about it, or you can actually implement that, see the results, and then results give you the motivation to keep going. And maybe it's a different conversation, but we've always talked about like motivation versus discipline and stuff. I think that's actually fascinating, because that really distinguishes it really just distinguishes the difference between somebody who maybe is learning or they're observing, and then somebody who's actually feeling those results and implementing them. I think that actually you can actually distinguish that from observation and find which ones have actually recognized and then decide to take that on.
Motivation versus discipline.
What about it?
I want you to, if you don't mind, like, explaining, because you talked about it very well when it comes to just working out and like the difference between motivation, whether it's the short term versus long term with discipline. If you just want to tell me about that.
The way I look at it is motivation probably comes from a heartbreak or trauma, or you saw a video and it really got you pumped up in the moment, but the motivation eventually dies. We all have a life. The discipline comes into when you don't feel like doing it, but you end up doing it. That's all it is. It's as simple as that. The discipline comes from the long-term goal. You having a plan and then just executing the plan. That's all it is. Don't look too deep into it. Motivation comes from I believe, like I said, trauma. Some girl broke your heart, or you saw a video of Rocky Balboa going up the stairs in Philadelphia, and then from there, the motivation will die eventually. And when you don't feel like having protein or you don't feel like hitting the gym, that's when the discipline comes in.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
We'll bring you back onto the relationship track now.
Okay.
Will, we'll do you first.
All right.
Do you believe that a male can have a female friend or vice versa?
A female friend can have a male friend in her head, for sure. No, for sure. I'm just saying that. But majority of men cannot be friends with a female because there's an ulterior motive. I like to call you all my friends. There's no ulterior motive, you know. I have no behind the back kind of stuff. If you get, that's what I'm just saying. I'm being honest with it.
Literally,
like I'm like, there's no behind the back type shit here. Like, you know, I don't like all my buddies. There's no, you know, be nice to you in front of your face and then talk shit behind your back. You know, I'll talk shit in front of your face and then behind closed doors, man. That's a good dude right there, man. That's a good dude. But yeah, if you have a female who's acquaintance or maybe a coworker, just ask. It was like, you know, do you have any male friends? And around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, you know, have her call that guy friend and say, you know, ask the question, you know, I really want to be something more serious, and see what his reaction is. He'll fold. Yeah. He'll fold, 100%. I think, but now another thing too, it's not even about the sex as well. It's outside of it. I just don't have many common things with females. I do one thing. She most likely is going to do something completely different. I enjoy smoking a cigar, maybe having a drink of beer with the fellas, going to the gym or talking about business. She has something completely different. I just don't thoroughly enjoy that.
Yeah, I think those are good points. I think maybe a caveat to that, which you wouldn't disagree with, is if there's just no attraction.
Yeah, I just think, I think most men, I mean, there's a reason, like, you know, at 3 a.m. the lights are on and you still see who's waiting and you want to take her home. I just think most men are so desperate and so damn horny to get what they want out of a girl. There are, like I said, what you're saying, the very few scenarios. There's definitely one-offs, I would agree, but I just think overall most guys are just so desperate for that, for the intimacy of the sex.
Yep.
That's the way I look at it.
I mean, I'm similar in regards to you. You know, I don't have. I don't believe that a male can have a male and a female can be a friend unless there is a complete absence of sexual tension. So I think that there's male and female relationships where that's absent, where it's like, now the thing is though, here's the, I'm gonna jack that beautiful word you just used. Here's the caveat to that is, so I don't believe that male and female can be friends without the absence of sexual tension, but it has to be an absence of sexual tension from both parties, meaning neither feels sexually attracted to the other in any scenario. Now, in reality, in most of these scenarios, the female is oblivious to the fact that male very much so has sexual attraction to them.
Yeah, the guys are willing to play the long game. That might be 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years. Oh, they're willing to play the long game. And I think the thing for me is then we're redefining friends then. If I see you every other day, I'm not your friend, we're acquaintances. So that's probably the thing I would probably disagree with. It's like what she may think is a friend, I'm going to have a completely different definition as a friend. I'm here to offer, I want solutions if I'm struggling with something. I think one of the problems are we try to solve male problems with female solutions.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking to my boys to help me out with a solution. I need your help. I need a solution. I'm not looking to a female. We just live two different lives. We're completely different, the way we look at stuff. I don't want to talk about my feelings. Fuck my feelings. I need to think. What do I think? I need to think X, Y, and Z. You know? But I guess I would agree with if there's absolutely no sexual tension. But again, I guess I would say, are we not friends? It's so I would just look at it as acquaintances.
Or why are you connected, right? Maybe just a family
business
friend.
Yeah, yes, and a business partner. You happen to work with with whoever. Sure, okay.
My only scenario that I can think of in my current life where I do have female friends, probably the only ones, are either friends of family or they're married to my friends.
Yes.
I would consider at least one of my male friends from a young age, his wife, I would consider a female friend of mine. They're like, it's just, they're married.
They're married, right.
It's off the table.
Exactly.
Like, they're family now. You know what I mean? So to me, that's really the only real world example that I can draw to mind. Apart from that, it's exactly what you said.
Yeah. Well, it's all advantage goes to the female anyways. It's boyfriend treatment, but the guy gets no boyfriend benefits, which is sexual access. There's exchange of value. We're not consciously thinking about the exchange of value. You provide her resources, you provide her protection, provisioning. That could be through anything, emotional support. She might be going through stuff. She might just one day start crying. You just kind of like, I got you. Relax, I got you. In exchange for that sexual access. But when there's friends with it, she's going to look to him for advice about her current relationship. And he's going to tell her what she wants to hear, not really what she needs to hear. What she needs to hear. You know what I'm saying? And then he tries to scoot on and show that vulnerability side, that emotional side. And while she's, having a good old time with the boyfriend, you're sitting there like a jackass. Yeah. That's most scenarios that I've seen. That's actual most scenarios for sure.
I think, which I would probably agree on, is, and this is not a ding to these women, but we're friends with them because we're friends with the guy that they're with, right? Outside of that dynamic, if there's sexual attraction, if there's whatever, do you see how that would be a little bit different?
I do. I mean, I most of the time, if my buddy's like dating a girl, very rarely would I consider her a friend. Right. But I'm very concrete and solid on the way that I defined a friend. Like, I have a ton of acquaintances. I do. Yeah. I have a lot of acquaintances, but I'm very sharp and rigid on the way that I define those things. It's like, a friend to me is someone that I can call at 3 a.m. because I'm about to be in a position where there may be a physical confrontation and they're going to be of use to me. Like, I'm not going to call my friends, I'm not going to call your girlfriend because I'm backed in a corner and I got to get out physically. I'm going to call you. I'm going to call Will. It's like, I tend to be more acquaintances with them. Over long spans of time, I have kind of encountered that friendship component where, like, my buddy's been dating them for like 4.5 years. I've gotten to know them, similar with my buddy and his wife. But
it's more like a, hey, how you doing? Very minimal, casual conversation. Yeah. Now I'm talking to my boy. Why am I going to talk to your girl for? That's out of respect. That's just the way I roll. I mean, I've sometimes with social media, you've seen some crazy stuff, and I'm like, there's just no respect for your homeboy. Because what tends to happen is they break up, and then the girl hops onto the best friend. Yeah. Wild.
So, Will, did you have any, before we move on to kind of the next segment of kind of relationships, did you have any that you had written down for kind of this subject matter?
With the friends?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me. Okay. Yeah.
One thing I'll say as well while he's looking that up, I think it's pretty much, you can almost dial it down to being the same between men and women, in the sense of, in his words, there's an exchange of value of some type, right? Which is just a natural human thing. So whether you're surrounding yourself with a group of male friends, whether it's networking, business purposes, mutual exchange of value, or when it comes to female, quote unquote, friends, or whatever the pursuing is, that I think that can be shared between both of those. Now, what that value is, of course, is going to be different.
I don't have anything that's like similar to that.
Got it. Okay. So I guess in that case, we'll kind of move on to the next segment of relation. Actually, let's do a quick little one on relationship to family. I think that's a really important thing to cover. So once again, just give a little brief statement on kind of like how integral is family to you as far as relationship is concerned. What is your relationship with your family, and kind of what are your belief systems around that? Yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, I think family is crucial. It's the bedrock, I think, of society. Myself growing up, very close family, eating dinner table every night. So just having that core foundation of stability, I think, is also important. You can learn a lot from a stable family. Not everybody gets to grow up in that, of course, but at the end of the day, family, and if you can grow up in a stable family, you're going to learn a lot when it comes to just, that's where you learn everything actually in the beginning, relationships, how to communicate, how to react in certain situations. So I've been fortunate, and to just keep it simple, yeah, I think family, that is the bedrock of society. And I think there's a little bit of observation on how society in general, you can see it's decaying in certain ways. And I think a lot of that's too breakdown of family.
Yeah, I'm going to go off of like being very fortunate. So when I happen to have these kind of conversations, I always go back to like, I look at it as like, I'm very privileged and very fortunate that I'm in a 2-parent household to this day. I think they're going on, gosh, hopefully I don't butcher this, 32 years of marriage. And I have people close to me that fathers passed away due to, unfortunate circumstances, or even people are divorced. So seeing those situations and then going back to the stability that I had, I was very fortunate. I didn't live in much chaos in my life. You see a lot of people, their stories, there's a lot of trauma and chaos. So I'm very fortunate. So I was able to see what a healthy relationship looks like between a man and a woman. I have 2 sisters and 2 half-brothers from my dad's first marriage. But the 2 sisters, when I was younger, I was definitely immature because I didn't understand the concept that we are actually different. We talk very differently. I'm very black and white. They're very kind of sort of gray area. It depends. So I was very immature. I was very arrogant in myself. I didn't want to listen to what they said. I only listened to speak rather than to what they said. So as I've gotten older, I matured. We have an unbelievable relationship, my entire family, my 2 sisters, my 2 brothers. And the biggest thing for me is just having moments, having experiences with them. Obviously the dinner's great, but like if you're fortunate enough to go on trips or doing things, that might be even just spending the time during the holidays. Like people don't really think about that kind of stuff, how fortunate you are to have everybody together. We're a very tight-knit group, so I'm very, very fortunate that I've lived in stability for 25 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I
think that, my parents are married as well still. I was raised in a great household, and I was, I had values and morals that were instilled in me by my father at a very young age, and my mother. But one that's, always stuck with me to this day, really from my father, was to take pride in your last name, to actually take pride not only in your last name, but in the attributes and the morals and the codes that are tethered to that last name, that are woven into your DNA. Like for me, one thing that I'm a huge stickler on for myself personally is on time is late and early is on time. That was something that was my father instilled that at a very young age. And to this day, I live by that. And I think that it's a showing of respect to people. I think there's a lot of good things that come of it, but that's just one of the many things that were instilled in me. And for me, it's a beautiful thing because I don't have to there's so many decisions in life, moral decisions that I have to make, that I don't have to sit there and think through it. I can simply ask myself, what morals and codes are woven into the fabric of my last name that if I want to be a man of honor, am determined to carry out, that's what I have to default on. So it's, should I push the brink and show up, a little late? No, that's not an option. And likewise with a lot of other things, how to treat a woman, how to do X, Y, and Z. It's those are all things that I look at as woven into the last name that I was born with. And I think that a lot of people have lost pride in that, in their family, in their last name. And the sad truth of it is that a lot of people have, Rome, everybody that lived in Rome, they talk about, Rome during its peak, and then there was the fall. The problem is we're now in a point in society where individuals are being raised in Rome and have to witness its fall. They have to witness all of the grounds that they were raised upon fall and crumble. You know, when your parents split, I can't speak on what that would be like, but I cannot imagine that it wouldn't screw up the way that someone thinks about their morals. So, you know, like you said, you know, I'm genuinely very blessed and thankful to have been raised in a 2-parent household, and my younger brother as well. I don't know if you have an older sister.
I'm the baby, so I have 2 older brothers and 2 older sisters.
Big family.
Yes. Going back on what you said about the moral and ethics. So I would say 0 to 18, my mom, because my dad was traveling a lot, the relation between her and I, she developed the morals and ethics in me. What is right, what is wrong. She was the one that influenced me, right? And then, funny enough, maybe about a few months ago, you know, I told her, I was like, you did everything you could. You just got to hope once I'm out of college, social media happens, you get a phone, social media, there's a bunch of influence. You just hope that you go back to what you were taught for the 18 years. And I was very fortunate enough, like when I was 18 to 21, I was a little bit more influenced by social media. I was like, okay, why am I thinking this way? But as I matured, as I got older, I was like, okay, that way makes no sense. It's not my belief system, right? And then my father taught me how to treat a woman right, how to be a gentleman, how to have structure, how to protect, how to provide. And my 2 parents, I'm forever grateful. You know, I tell them it's like, I love you to infinity and beyond. You know, kind of like that Toy Story. I love it. Like, to infinity and beyond. Forever grateful. Yeah.
I think to add to that, a big role that family can provide is the nature of what someone's role is in family. Yeah. So we can talk about between men and men, or men and women primarily. You know, men for that stability and providing. The female side is more that nurturing, right? So you had a pretty cool experience because you had sisters, so you could see and have that conversation and see that side of it, right?
Yeah.
So I had 2 brothers, you know, we didn't really have many females around to learn from that from, but I just thought it was an interesting dynamic.
I think a great way to transition into the male relationships to females is for men in this world, the only true form of unconditional love that you are likely to experience throughout the course of your life has come from and will come from your mother.
Yeah, agreed, 100%.
Maybe grandmothers, you know, obviously we can extend it to that, but the most direct relationship with someone that is going to unconditionally love you is your mother. And a mistake that a lot of young men make that I see is they are searching for that unconditional love in women around them that are their age, when in reality it's conditional. I will protect and provide for you. Those are my conditions. My conditions are you will be a loving partner, that you will support me. You don't need to help me, but support me. And you will one day, God willing, provide me with children, hopefully boys. And, like there's these roles, but the moment I stop doing mine, I am not in a position to feel entitled to the reciprocity of my partner. So guys are searching for the unconditional love that they receive from their mother in women and in their relationships with women. And that's just not the case. It's conditional.
Yeah,
go ahead, Nico.
Not to get too hot on certain hot topics, but I think when we talk about the importance of family, and I don't even see this from a religious aspect, where we talk about, husband and wife and how the world is really trying to kind of blend those, as in there's really no role. It's just, 2 people love each other. And again, I want to emphasize, take the religion out of this. I think you're going to see the impacts of that, because there's nobody that's going to play a mother role like your actual mother. Now, you're going to have people that can support you in certain ways, I think, but biologically, I think that's very important. and you're going to see the fruits of those. Second on that as well, I think the unconditional aspect of it is very important, and it's something that we all are thankful for. I just want to make sure that's noted.
Right. And not every young man will get to experience that.
No.
You know? So I want to definitely speak on that. And once again, I'm blessed to have had that, but you know, it's the problem comes in trying to seek that out in your female partner. It's a completely different story. That's conditional.
Yeah, I think so. We're all Gen Zs. I'm 25.
Yeah, same.
25.
Okay. Back then, because there was no social media, it just happened. There was no, like, we talked about, like, all right, this is my role. It just happened, right? So, and nowadays, again, it goes back to social media. There's so many, all social media did was create more opinions from other people. You only learned your ideas, your opinions, or they may think is a fact, is from your parents. Maybe if you did sports, a teacher, or, you know, if you did education, something outside of school, or even in school, teacher and a coach. Those are the only and maybe like neighborhood friends. Those are the only people who had influence. Now everyone is an influencer. Now everyone's trying to influence you within your different ideas, right? So back then, the roles just happened naturally. But going on what you're saying with the unconditioned. So like you look at a contract, there's terms and conditions. Bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. In a relationship, it's always conditional between a man and a woman and a man. I'm judged on my performance to do my best to take care of her. And you know what? She needs to perform as well. She needs to make me look good. Nothing more, I would say, kind of just like a punch in the gut when you walk in and the girl's just not attractive. Or your friends are roasting you. Like, she provides that for you. She provides, like, yeah, man, it's like, damn, what did he do to get her? That's what most guys are thinking. It's like, damn, she looks good. I don't know what she did. You know, what'd he do? You know? But everything is conditional. And going on what you said is, guys, and again, you have to experience this, unfortunately. You have to go through the heartbreak. You have to go through that trial and tribulation to grow. But people listen to the R&B back in the day. They listened to Disney. They talked about, Shrek, the movie Shrek, the concept of Shrek. I'm sorry, but if you look like an ogre, girls nowadays they're not going to take you seriously unless you're superb in the money-wise, but then you're just a target. You're just a mark. I'm not even talking about if you're a millionaire. I'm just talking about even just if you're, because I believe the United States median income average is about $35,000 to $50,000. Let's just say you're making $70,000. You're in the top 20%. She could still see you as a mark in a small town like South Carolina.
Right.
You know, so everything is conditional. If you're no longer doing your things, she's going to find something better, and vice versa. You know, I think sometimes guys, we just let things slide. Sometimes you need to tell her no. She's going to respect you for it.
Yeah.
It's like in what you're saying, like with my two sisters, because I didn't talk to my brothers as much, I really needed to learn how I articulated my thoughts. Again, because I could tell you, this, and you're just, oh, I understand. But if I said the same thing, they're going to take the feelings into it a lot more, right? So, and when I be talking about advice and stuff, again, when you're talking to your boys about advice, you're putting them in a better position to get the girl. Now, when I'm talking to my two sisters, then I got to flip my entire mind and just like, okay, I'm going to put you in a better position to get what you want. And again, we're not consciously thinking this. It's a subconscious thing. Yeah. It's exchange of value. When we're on a date, I pay the bill. Well, nowadays people want to go 50-50, but that's a whole nother conversation. Right. I paid the bill, and in exchange for that is she actually didn't flake on the date. There's actually a possible connection there. She actually looks good on the date. She doesn't look like a slob. She's actually respectful on the date. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way I look at it as a whole.
Yeah, the whole 50-50 bill thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But just the concept of unconditional love, the closest thing is to your mom, where it doesn't matter what you do. That's my baby. He would never do, or she would never do.
Yeah, and learning a little bit of this more recently firsthand, you really do have to flip that switch.
Yeah.
When you're going from just general conversations with men and you kind of understand how the lay of the land is, and then just from learning to articulate and add kind of that emotional aspect to it, or for them to see it in a more appealing emotional way. There's some stories behind that, but it's
always what you say. It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yep.
You know?
In any aspect, though.
Yeah.
It could be through business or with women, you know?
But most guys are going to talk how they, in their gut, what they really think. And then girls, you gotta finesse it in a way. But there are some times where you gotta be like, okay, I'm going to tell you how actually what it is. But most guys, 2 + 2 is 4, and 2 + 2 = fucking 4.
Yeah.
It's still 4. Shout out to Myron Gaines on that one. I'm gonna use I like his stuff, but when it comes to those kind of statements, like, you understand, it's 4, but then it's a feeling,
Right. I think that's so interesting. He brought up social media, and we can talk maybe a little bit about this too, but the dynamic between men and women when it comes to just options and how that leads to how you go about, whether it's dating or making relationships. Women just have a totally different dynamic to that. And sometimes that leads to how you go on dates, to miscommunication, but it's just very interesting.
It's like that great, I love that country song, dude, Waiting on a Woman. Because it's just, I can tell you wholeheartedly right now, we set this podcast for 7 o'clock tonight. If Will and I were here and you showed up at 7:30, you know me well enough to know I would have had a problem with it. I would have voiced to you like, dude, you're late. You're wasting our time. Not only are you wasting mine, like double it. You know what I mean?
I'll be a lot more nicer to you. Nick, it's okay, bro. Something must have happened. It's okay, bro. I got you.
I'd check you on it, but vice versa. You're waiting on a gal. She's getting gussied up to go out to dinner. You've set aside some time, and a girl rolls down 30 minutes late, and it's just, you know what? It's just a different conversation. Now, if I got a reservation at 7, maybe it might be like something along like Nico. If we're running late to get to this podcast, we were out having dinner before. I was like, we were running late. Nico, drag your fucking ass. If it's a girl, maybe it's like, hey, we get that reservation's coming up. Let's just try and pick up the pace a little bit. We'll be there on time.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like exactly like what he said. I like that 2 + 2 = 4 reference.
Yeah.
That was a good.
Yeah,
one.
that's a Myron Gaines quote. I watch a lot of his stuff, but like how guys just talk and how females just talk. But I'm gonna slightly disagree with the dating. So like, if I'm on a date and I say like 7 p.m. and it's 7:30, I'm not gonna waste my time and money.
That's a different story. I'm talking.
Oh, like in the relationship.
I'm talking in the relationship, and we're at the same household, and she's getting ready to go out to dinner. The way I'm going to say hurry your ass up is a little bit different.
Okay, gotcha.
No, if I'm...
Okay,
right,
okay, I gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I've seen that.
If I don't have anything bought into, like if I have nothing invested in someone and they show up late, actually, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to slide my number to the waitress. And then,
You want to have a date right now?
Exactly,
You clocked that already?
Table for 2.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's definitely the kind of, the language is going to be different.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you want to break out some of those questions?
Yeah, we could talk about. Well, we could talk about. The question was, I think we're all going to agree on this. Should a man still pay for the date? Yes or no, and why? In the world we're living in now, the concept of equality, that stemmed into the dating. My belief system, since I was born, what I've seen, the guy always pays for the date. What I've seen through social media, or what a couple of buddies or some acquaintance, they go automatically to the dinner date. Now, if you enjoy a dinner date, make it casual. Trust me, if she's into you, she'll go to Dan Waffle House with you. Seriously, I'm not kidding. Yeah. She will do that. You don't have to go. You don't have to go to $200. You don't have to go to New York Strip, $200, $300. I know there was a viral video. I don't know if you've seen it about the Cheesecake Factory. So apparently this guy is being shamed by the girl by taking her to Cheesecake Factory. It's not bougie enough. It's not fancy enough, right? So most guys will make the mistake. They'll just do anything that's expensive, right? Most girls, they'll kind of look at it as, sometimes they might question. It's like, okay, this guy took you on an expensive date. What's it in for? What's he in for? I hope he's not expecting anything in return. Right. That kind of thing. what I personally started doing is I like to do stuff I like to do, and she's gonna do it with me, and we're gonna have fun together. And look, if she flakes or she don't like the date, all right. So for me personally, I love Topgolf. I love golfing. If you bounce, I'm gonna go hit the balls. I'm gonna have a good ass time with it. You can bounce by. I'm gonna hit my golf. Practice on my game. But most guys, they'll go to the do something you enjoy. That might even be freaking, I don't know, do paintballing. That's 40, 50, 30, 40, 50 bucks. And then if guys are like, oh, that's too expensive, all right, get your ass to work. You don't deserve a date. You don't deserve a date. Yeah. If you really think 20, 30 bucks is that big of a deal, bro, you need to get your ass to work. Yeah. Straight up. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think this whole splitting the bill thing is just like a feminization of men and the roles that are in play. Yeah. Right? Agreed. So I don't think how can it be a big deal to pay, $40 for a date or whatever it is, right? It's an interesting dynamic though, because women now in this feminization aspect, they want this whole equal kind of outcome, right? Or equalization of roles.
Well, it's equal when it benefits them.
Exactly, right? There's no downside to them. Yeah. Because the guy's going to cuck anyway after on the other roles.
Yeah, it's a benefit. Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think it's very important, and I think it's just a character quality, generosity, that it shows that you can provide, right? So I agree 100%.
Before you go, Colden, the way I look at it too is, let's just say the date went well. When you pay the bill, what you're doing is what you're establishing what potentially can be between us. You never know what could happen. Connection goes well, second date, third date. And then throughout the line, couple months, but it always stems to your first impression. People judge you by the cover. Don't get it twisted. People judge you, right? Yeah. So they're going to judge you on the first date. They're going to judge you the way you look, the way you dress, the way you talk, the confidence, you speak. Girls know that. They've been on multiple dates. They've been on all these messages. Most dudes are creepy now, But when you pay the bill, you're establishing this is the life that you can potentially have with me. Yeah,
it's a credibility factor.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's like you're establishing, like, I'm the leader. I'm going to take you on the date. You don't have to worry about nothing. And if the date doesn't go well, you cut the date short. I mean, I've done that before. It's like I don't like. I'll just be like, oh, I have to go work tomorrow.
Yep. Yeah. I don't want to beat a dead horse. I mean, you guys kind of covered the grounds. I'm a huge fan of having the girl pay for my dates. No.
Damn, Cody, you hit us with a 180 on
that.
You
are.
No, the whole 50-50 thing, I mean, it's just idiotic to me. Like you said, you're setting the wrong grounds for that relationship to go.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to set, we've talked about this a lot, like you need to set the standard from the start.
Correct.
Not the middle, not the end, from the start. This is how things are going to go. I am going to lead this, and I'll show you exactly what's in store for you. But, like the whole, and also for any of you guys who think like are out, and God forbid you're even like contemplating splitting bills with women, like go home, grow up, like be a man. But for those of you who are sitting there, a lot of times you'll have a great opportunity with a good girl, and she'll whip out that purse and start fumbling around in it like she's going to split the bill with you. It's a shit test. It's a shit test every fucking time. Like she's going to like test you. She's going to push you, see where your limits are. Like, hey, no.
Yeah.
Great tip. Real quick, just one last tip to gentlemen that take a girl out. Like if you can figure out how to get your credit card in the hand of the waiter or the waitress and have the bill paid
that's smooth.
Prior to the end.
I've done that. Yeah, it's smooth. Yeah,
finish the meal, stand up, walk out.
Yeah.
I think to add to this too, not necessarily just paying the bill, the 50-50 conversation, but communication at the beginning of a relationship is massive.
Yeah.
Whether it's just texting, I mean, holy shit. Like the difference is it's just very subtle though. And you just really learn, and I think it's just good for personal development, how to communicate effectively, and especially when it comes to women, you learn how to approach that, and setting that example from the beginning goes a long way.
So my mistake when I was younger, even though I'm still young now, with the texting now, because all the technology we have, social media DMs, what I've noticed is women will really waste your time texting rather than actually meeting person to person. So you need to get off whatever it is as quickly as possible. You know, that's what I've learned with, having mentors to help me with like self-improvement and that kind of stuff. Get off the phone as quickly as possible and just get to the point. What I've personally have found through anecdotal experience is women really like that. They're like, you get to the point, you don't beat around the bush, get to the point. We matched, or, I happen to see you in a social setting, just get to the point. That's what I'm just picking off what Nico said with the texting concept. Just get to the point. What are we talking to here?
It's almost as if they're going to get that from a different kind of male.
Yeah.
Right. So
they're gonna get attention regardless.
Right. So you're going to set yourself aside by being simple.
Yep.
Really.
Date, time, location, what she should wear.
Yeah. Obviously, you want to say, hey, how are you doing? Sure. That kind of stuff. Obviously, be cordial, but get to the point because, like I said, guys just drag out conversations.
Yeah.
Trust me, I've seen girls' phones, how it works. Like you set yourself apart, get to the point. And if she doesn't talk, all right, move on to the next girl. Like, it's not that, bro, it ain't that big of a deal because I promise you she's talking to a dude right now.
Yeah.
She's talking to a dude right now, or maybe getting attention from another dude. Don't sweat it. You got one life.
And talking just to talk ends up just being a waste of time. And it also
for everybody's time.
Exactly. But also it's just respect yourself, and I've got really important things to do. And it's nothing as in setting them down here. But I'm a busy guy. I've got shit going on. I have to do work. I go to the gym. I XYZ content, right? So respect your own time, and you're gonna see the fruits of that.
Yep.
You got another one?
Yeah.
Go ahead and let them fly. We're kind of in freestyle mode.
Gotcha. Has social media ruined dating for men and women? Has social media ruined dating for men and women?
In my opinion, social media has amplified what was the case prior. And that is that a very small percentage of the males, and you'll see this in the animal kingdom too, have relations with 95% of the females, the top percent of the males. And I think that social media has amplified that. You just have to know the game you're playing.
Yep.
If you know how to, first of all, ensure that whatever you're going to portray online aligns with when they meet you in person.
Yeah, dude.
That's
the last thing
one.
You want is to be incongruent, because then she kind of freaks out.
That's massive.
Yeah.
But then, like, my advice to young guys is build the man worthy of what you want in the real world, and then figure out how to best portray that through photos and videos online. Use it as your portfolio.
Yeah.
Be the mystery man. And then all it's gonna do is excel your progress. It's going to amplify your ability to reach women. I mean, when you can post a video of you in the gym and you actually look like you do in video, and you can post that and reach 1,000 women in your local area, you're playing a different game. And then all of a sudden it flips that script and women start coming to you. Yeah. You start kind of acting as a magnet and drawing them towards you. And then you can kind of be selective.
Yeah.
That's where I stand on social media. I don't think it's this like horrible thing that has happened. But once again, like if I was your average overweight guy making an average annual salary, if I was average across the board, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, fuck all these guys on Instagram that look like they got it going on and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Rather than just go put in the work, like actually ensure that you're a man worthy of presenting and then present.
Yeah. I think I agree with that sentiment, that it hasn't necessarily ruined it. I think it does present a great opportunity, though, in the sense of, and we probably agree in this, that you want to build the man worthy of the woman. You want to build on yourself and work on yourself. So be successful, be ambitious, driven, have purpose, long-term goals, and then social media can actually reflect that. And as long as you're doing that, like you said, congruently, then I think it can be a positive. But you do have the downsides of there's that extra level of competition now. So that was there prior, but now that's more visible through social media.
Yeah. So I would go a different perspective. It's harder to maintain relationships through the bad times, because that's how relationships long period of time, 20, 30, 40 years, it's when bad things happen. Unfortunately enough, due to social media, women have quantity options. They may not have quality options. They have options that you have never seen before. They could post something on Instagram. Dudes will slide in, you know. Tinder, Bumble, Hinge. Most girls, they don't even use it for dates. They just use it for attention, you know. But you could separate yourself. The guy who's average looking, not in shape, finance. I would personally worry about the finances last and do stuff you could immediately do. Improve on your look. The first thing you do is fitness. We're all guys who work out. Because what ends up happening with fitness is you're competent in that area, and then what competence is confidence. That confidence, you walk into a room. You know I put in the work. You know I just benched 225. You ain't done shit. You haven't put in the work. I benched 225. I squatted 315. I deadlifted 405. I put in the work, right? And then from there, it's just stepping stones. From fitness, you continue to work on yourself. People respect something that's hard. Fitness is hard. Working out is hard. Eating healthy is hard. People respect that. They see, I promise you, when you walk in, they see a physique, and you're like, that put in a lot of work. That guy's disciplined. That guy's motivated. That guy's driven, right? And then from there, like, because guys if you want a relationship, dude, you got to put in work. It's not go to the unconditional love. They're not going to love you because you're X, Y, and Z, bro. I'm sorry. It's like I go back. It's not the 1950s. You're using 1950s game, but they're using 2024 game on you, bro. I'm sorry. You have to have, you know, a skincare routine that you actually want to look handsome, want to look good, you know, because you're a representation to the girl too. Because the girl's going to talk about to her other friends, hey, look at the guy I'm talking to, and they're like, ooh, girl, man, you looking good, you know, like that's good. That's a boost of confidence in yourself. Yep. And then how you dress, right? Everyone has different styles. You don't have to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars. All this right here is all Amazon, straight up, $20-$30. You know what I'm saying? Like taking the time, taking the effort. Have nice teeth, dude. Go to get Crest white strips, like whiten your teeth. Like if you really want to have a relationship, an intimate relationship, because guys just want intimacy, really. They don't get it. We don't get compliments like that. I remember my first compliment ever, like in the public. I was 21 years old at Walmart. I'll never forget. Redheaded, light-skinned chick. I'll never forget it. We don't get compliments like that, you know? It's hard to come by. You have to put in the effort. If you really want what you want, you got to do what you got to do. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. And I think what's cool about that is a lot of it we can control.
Yes.
Right? So a lot of times it's, geez, we really can't, you know, we work with what we have, but a lot of that can be changed. Yeah. And a lot of it's really just effort.
Yeah.
Whether it's physically or mentally.
Yeah. What I love about us too is we have so many avenues. I can throw you the fastball. I can throw you the curveball. You know, I can look at the fitness, or maybe the face, or the dress, the way I talk. You know, the way you talk, like the beautiful thing about social media on the positive end is like you can actually see yourself like, okay, what are some flaws? Like I sometimes when I'm ending a sentence, I'll say, so blah, blah, blah. So I'll say, so like you're literally analyzing how you talk, and then eye contact. Like, dude, just like really analyze yourself. Bro, you have one life to live. Like, why don't you take it seriously? You know?
Yeah.
Amen, dude.
I don't understand. Like, dude, play the game.
Yeah.
Play the game. Most of the times you're gonna lose, but other times you're gonna win. I'm willing to get hit in the face a couple of times. It's fine. Who cares? It ain't that hard, bro. Because we all have purpose. We all have stuff that's a priority in our life that matters to us in our life. Fitness matters. Family matters in my life. You know, helping people be healthy matters to me. So if a girl flakes or a girl does this or a girl has an ick for me, okay, cool, bye. I don't care. It don't bother me. I was talking to you yesterday. Dude, the people that are negative or the people that have something to say, you ain't going to show up at my funeral? You ain't going to show up at my funeral? Yeah. Close relatives, my sisters, my aunts and uncles, cousins, on both sides of my family are going to show up. And hopefully, you know, you guys one day. You guys will be my pallbearer. Like, dude, you ain't going to show up to my funeral. Why the hell do I care what you think? Seriously. That's just the way I look at it. It's a mindset change too. It's all this doomsday shit. Okay, you know what? You can bitch and complain. You can sit in the corner. You can go ahead and jack off the Pornhub. Go ahead and subscribe to OnlyFans. Do that shit. But don't bitch and complain when you ain't getting a girl. Don't bitch and complain. You don't have the relationship you want. A girl that genuinely wants you for you. You know?
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
I'm not following that up. Run another one.
Dude, I just don't understand. I don't get it. It blows my mind. So I know, Nico, you're in a relationship. I would say, what are some things, we'll be positive now.
Yeah.
What are some things men do that make them attractive to women? What are some things men do that make them attractive to women?
Well, I can maybe start from maybe within a relationship. I think having purpose and successful, not quite.
Dollar bills, y'all, baby. Yes, sir.
Benjamin Franklin.
No, I mean, just hearing from it firsthand, I mean, having ambition, having goals, and seeing at least progress on achieving those goals. You don't have to be perfect at everything. You don't have to hit all those goals at once, but also just being busy, having self-respect in yourself to just not be there texting 24/7 and just being nowhere else and being consumed there. That you actually are your independent person and you live your own life and this person compliments you, vice versa. I think that definitely goes a long way. I'll keep that short, but just I'll stay with that.
Go ahead, baby.
I mean, hands down, without a shadow of a doubt, I think the greatest impact comes from the physical. Like, you know, as far as the initial attraction point for a female is like, be well physically put together, be strong. We talk about it, that fucking V, you know, having the broad shoulders, like protect and provide. I think today in the modern world, we get really caught up in, and I feel like a lot of guys think that providing is protecting, but it's like you need to be capable of physically protecting her if shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys miss that mark, but you can't afford to miss that mark because it is ingrained in their most primal DNA to seek out a male partner that is physically adept and capable of protecting her physically, as well as her potential future children. You know, someone comes to take everything that you have to revert to the physical. So really focusing on that. And then once you've kind of built up, and it's an ongoing process, it's a lifelong process physically. You know, number one, you want to be healthy, but number two, you want to be strong and capable of dealing damage. And once you've kind of built this physical presence, then you can start thinking about clothing it, hair, all kind of the attachments and modifications to my base rifle, you know, and making it look pretty, making it more efficient, making it more effective. Yeah. And then once you kind of get beyond those kind of facets, I think financial freedom or financial independence is extremely important today. You know, going back to once you've got the protection component down, is can you provide? And I think a lot of people look at, you know, these young YouTubers, these millionaires online, and they're making millions drop shipping or selling their course on drop shipping more or less. And they think that that's what they have to attain to have that level of financial freedom in order to attract the woman, when really they should just look back thousands of years. And in reality, like, as if you have enough financial means to put a roof over someone's head and put food on the table, that's all it was for the longest time. And if you can do that and you're physically adept and can protect, I think you're in a really good position. And then obviously, going back to what Nico said, I think ambition's a huge kind of attractive factor for a female to look for in a male, in that he has a mission, he has a purpose. And when he is called to go and to pursue that purpose, she plays that supportive role. You know, if a woman is detracting you from your purpose, then, you know, it's time to have a serious conversation with them about why that's an issue or cut the ties. Because in reality, I see far too many times guys that are in a relationship or get married and are with an individual for so many years and let that woman slowly wear him away from his purpose, and she becomes his purpose, and then she leaves.
You lose both.
You lose both.
Double whammy.
Yep.
So, yeah, really, I would say those factors and how you carry yourself, be a man of honor, you know, just loyalty, respect, those kinds of things.
Love it. Love it. I think I want to go off of what Nico said, the intangible. So it's obviously we can tell, like, the date doesn't happen unless there's obviously attraction there, right? We obviously understand the tangibly, how you physically look.
Yeah.
Nothing sexier with a man with confidence. Now you could Michael Sartain talks about this, podcaster, you know, men's self-improvement. He talks about immersion yourself into scenarios where you need to talk to women. Strip clubs is cheating. Don't go to strip club. Like literally cold approaching, like developing that confidence. Even talk to an older lady at the girl. Hey, how are you today? Good to see you. Anything new today? Like literally just like repetition of confidence and having eye contact. Like because social media now, we're always on their phone like this. We forgot how to talk to people now. We you know, so you'll notice, like when I was younger, when you immerse yourself into situations, your voice gets a little higher, you get a little shaky. Like a girl can sense that out like that, again, because they go back to the options. They've seen what a dude with no confidence looks like compared to a guy with confidence, right? So I think the biggest thing is having confidence, and that just comes from your confidence. And that could be talking about anything, like what you enjoy. Like she likes to hear that, like you're very confident in like what you do. You're confident in anything. The way you carry yourself, the way you walk, the way, are you slouched over? Are you upright? You know, do you talk like this, or do you talk with like authority? You talk with an active voice, you know? It just, like I said, nothing more sexier than a man with confidence. Women love that.
Yeah. No, I mean, just to add to that, I think a big thing is when you almost lose your fear of failure is, at the end of the day, for me, what changed the game. Like, just don't really give a shit about what could go wrong. And not in like an arrogant way, right? But in the sense of just, I know who I am. I know my purpose. We're going to go on this outing. If it goes well, it does. If it doesn't, it does not. But to not let that get to you, emotionally, mentally, because that's where that confidence wanes, right? So I think minimizing your, I guess, caring of the downside risk, to me, is kind of how I implemented that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Do we still want to talk about relationships, or like more men's stuff, or just
whatever you got, dude.
Okay.
We're freestyling now.
Got you. Let me do, all right, this is going to be 180. Why do you think men are hesitant to go to therapy? Why do you think men are hesitant to go to therapy? This is definitely we're going down a path here. Why do you think men avoid therapy or don't think like, I need therapy?
Well, I think an important reference point would be a comment you said earlier of like, I think that a lot of what they're calling modern day therapy, or I think the approach to therapy for men is trying to put a feminine solution on a masculine problem.
They try to solve male problems with female solutions. That's the foundation right there. That's the problem.
It's come in and get you, let's speak emotionally, and like you can be vulnerable here, and that's not in my nature. That is not in our nature. It's like, I would rather sit down, and that's once again why I value my male friends so much. So, because I can sit down with my male friends and have a logical conversation about my problems. And they can be problems of an emotional sense. It could be, a death of a friend, or it can be X, Y, or Z. And I could be struggling with it, and it could be an emotional thing. but I can link up with my male friends. And you know what? If it goes from logical and it becomes emotional and, you know, tears are shed, at least it's among my male friends. You know, it's like, I've never been one for kind of the therapy approach. I know men who have done therapy, and it's not something that's,
They look at it as a waste of money. They just look at it as a waste of money.
Yeah. I think just to hit on again, men and women have been, I mean, civilizations have been around for thousands of years. And in my opinion, maybe it's backed up, but I would think that therapy in the current sense of how we know it is a relatively new phenomenon. Like at the end of the day, you were almost, you know, hundreds of years ago, you were too busy or too tired to have therapy. You were working 18 hours a day and you were providing for a family. There was no time for this. Let's have us sit down and give me $100 for an hour of my time, right? So I think that really just comes back to people in our day are losing their sense of purpose. I think a lot of it is purpose. Sometimes there's an event or something, right? But when we lose, at least for myself, if I lost my purpose, that would be difficult. But when you have that North Star of what your purpose is, what your goal is, short, medium, long term, I'm able to at least navigate through some of these events. And when a problem is an emotional problem, right, you just don't want to solve it with an emotional solution. You want to be able to logically make that next step, because you're not going to solve emotion with emotion. You can, I guess, deal with it or kind of talk about it, but I would think to find a solution, you would need a non-emotional response.
Yeah. Beating a dead horse here, but I'll go a different perspective. Another YouTuber, Psychax, he's a psychologist in California, and he actually does actual like psychology work. He doesn't do any medication, that kind of stuff, but he prescribes to men, because he only works with men, actionable steps to solve the problem, right? So instead of solving male problems with female solutions, men tend to solve or even get rid of the problems that they think they have through actionable steps. First thing is always, obviously, it's so funny, gym's therapy, working on your physical health, and that equates to your mental health as well. He talks about, you know, other things as well, but main is like, dude, go to the gym 3 days a week. That may solve a lot of your problems. But look, we're men here. We feel emotions. We feel it. We just suppress it. I'll say in the world we're living in, there's no safe space. There's no safe space on social media. Just scroll through TikTok, scroll through Instagram, watch a female with anything. A girl might be fat. They say, you go, girl. There's always support. There's a safe space on social media for women. Flip it around, men, or they're going to roast you. If you see a guy cry, they're going to roast you. There's no safe space. So my safe space is going to be with my male friends. And what tends to happen is, what I've seen is like they're sort of venting. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Like, talk, like, what's on your mind? Just talk about it. I'll say, you know, say your piece. I won't say nothing. And then I'll actually provide you something you could get over. And I'll look at it from a different perspective. It's like, my friend, the girl that broke your heart, I'm sorry, bro, but she's moved on to somebody else. And I'm going to be cool with it. You know, it's like, my friend, like, she don't care about you anymore. I'm sorry, bro. Like, this is what you need to do. X, Y, Z. Be busy. Try to get overtime. Work, you know, go to the, like, I know I keep saying the same thing, but like literally, like, gym like saves a lot of people's lives from putting a bullet in their head.
Yeah.
Because guys get zeroed out. No one, there's no support system. There's no intimacy. There's no, like I said, we go back to the compliments. No guy gets that, really. Most men, they just don't get that, you know, and the vulnerable, like, there's a safe space to be vulnerable with other men, because we empathize with you. We feel sorry for you, but we empathize because we may feel where you're coming from. And we were going back to relationships, like, this may sound fucked up or cold, but like, I'm never crying in front of a woman, like, in a relationship. I'm never doing it. I'm gonna cry in the car. I'll go for a drive. I'll go to the gym. You know, I'll tear up there. You ain't never seen it, because I'm never gonna put her in that situation where she feels any sort of stress. Like, I need to solve the problem. And it's so funny where it's like, well, do you think it's acceptable to someone that, like, the fact that we have to say, like, someone has to die for you to then feel safe to cry? Like, how sad is that? It's very sad. And so, like, the biggest thing for me is, like, having empathy for that person, having a safe space. There's no safe space. So I don't even trust my emotions with other people besides my parents, my siblings. Like I said, I go back being fortunate, or guys like you. Like, I would be very comfortable opening up, and it would stay indoors. That's why guys avoid therapy. They just look at it as it's just a total waste of time because no one's listening.
It also, it really isn't like, this is my personal perspective on it, is men avoiding therapy. Like, avoiding almost makes it sound like you're like for me, if I'm avoiding going to the gym, I'm not going to the gym even though I should. If you're avoiding therapy, you're not avoiding anything that you should be doing. I don't think that you should be doing it. Going back to what Nico said, is like, you've got a war going on in your head. And the problem is that the world is telling you that you need to sit down and talk about the war. I'm telling you that you need to delve into yourself, you need to delve into your own head, and you need to go to war. Like, you need to be willing to go to war with yourself.
Yeah.
And that's go to the gym, work on yourself.
Yeah, and therapy, again, like therapy is for trauma. Like, if you actually have legit, real trauma, like I've unfortunately, like, some things have happened, like, outside of, like, then go to therapy for that, 100%. But I think most guys' problems is they're lacking something within themselves, and they think, like, to bail out, I want someone to confirm my poor decisions that I've made. It's a confirmation of, like, what I'm doing wrong, or I'm doing what I'm doing wrong, but they're gonna tell me what I want to hear. So, no, you're doing it right. You're doing it right.
Yeah, I think we've all hit that pretty well.
Yeah.
And I guess my perspective is, trauma is a separate story.
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely agree.
We're talking. I think most they don't need therapy.
Exactly. Yes, but if you're in a situation where you work at a restaurant 4 or 5 days a week, working 35 hours, and this girlfriend that you've had for a year breaks up with you,
You don't need therapy.
exactly. Like, work more hours.
Yeah.
Get more shifts, and that, in the end of the day, is going to improve your results later on, because you're going to be making more money. You're going to be keeping busier, and a lot of it at the end of the day is just, we have so much time on our hands to even think about these things. If we preoccupy ourselves, gym, work, I think that would be very helpful.
Like we were going back to having those friends. Like, if, let's say you have a brother, like, dude, talk to your brother. If you have a father, talk to. If you don't have any of this, if you don't have a father, maybe talk to a coach, talk to a performance coach. You know, if you don't have that, like I said, like, if you really want to talk about it, like, buy yourself into some of these groups and, like, be a part of the conversation. You know, if you don't have any of those, like I said, man, just join those groups. Like, join something on Instagram or Facebook and just follow them, and, like, be in the comments, like, have an engaging conversation. Try anything. If you really want to solve it, unless you're just talking to talk, but if you actually want to solve it, like, dude, just talk about it within those safe spaces. Yeah, man. Another question?
Sure.
You got more.
I could check. I could go to.
Those are solid questions. Yeah.
I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it. I guess we could talk about. I could do the last one. So you know this. You know the saying, "Nice guys finish last."
Yeah.
Why do you think nice guys finish last?
Because women wait at the finish line to fuck the winners.
Rich Cooper, baby. What was the quote again?
Because women wait at the finish line and fuck the winners.
It's a Rich Cooper quote. That's an all-timer quote. Yeah, I think. So what is a nice guy? The way I interpret nice guys is you're a yes man. You say yes to everything. You're nice to everything. You have no backbone. You say yes to everything, even though you don't think it's right. You still say yes. You're nice to letting her do whatever she wants, and then she just walks over you, and then you wonder why you're single and she's with a dude in their bed having a good time. I would rather be a good guy. I'd rather be a good person, telling you what you need to hear, going back to what you need to hear, telling you, being firm in your decision, no, saying no. And I think they'll respect you for it. So nice guys finish last because they are a doormat. They have no backbone. And you may have to actually experience that at one point. If you're a younger person, it's hard to say no to a female because let's be honest, the sex is good. You don't want to say no to her because she may feel some type of way. But if that's the case, I'm gonna take my balls and I'm gonna walk home with it. You know what I'm saying? But nice guys finish last, or what's nice guys is they're a doormat. They say yes to everything. They appease her, and when you appease her, this notion of happy wife, happy life, happy spouse, happy house. You know.
And also when it comes to that, nice guys finish last, kind of what we talked about in the beginning of, girls are going to differentiate from kind of their friend that they're using for certain things when it comes to an actual relationship. They want that distinction between this guy is that provider and protector versus this guy who's going to just be nice to me and give me all of these things. So why that is the case, I just think it's maybe comes down to attention, that they're going to be able to get this certain attention that they need from these individuals because they can find that practically anywhere.
Yep.
You're going to be able to just walk down the street and, just talking to some of these girls like firsthand, it's just, dozens of compliments a day could be. And as guys, that's not something that you're going to experience. So I think a lot of it just comes down to those 2 points, really.
Nice guys finish last.
Why do nice guys finish last? Because logically, before you think, logically speaking, I'm just being nice. Like, what's the big deal? But going back to what DNA, dawn of human time, all of our ancestors, we're looking for a leader. Leaders aren't nice. I think the greatest leaders of all time, from our military to any sports, were nice. Yeah. When they talk about, their death, he was like, oh, he was a bad person. No, he was probably telling you what you needed to hear. Leading you in the right direction. And women want that. They want someone who's determined, who could lead them down the right path. And you've given them you brought the anxiety level down. You give them that safe space to really kind of open up, and she allows you to lead. Because if she doesn't allow you to lead, she'll lead you to the end of the relationship. Myron Gaines. Another quote. I just like a lot of those guys, like a big influence on me, man. Just everyone has sort of influence, finance influence, dating influence, fitness influence that actually helped you in providing those ideas to them. Just may help another guy from hanging themselves or shooting themselves in the head, literally, or being in such a depressed state where they're on medication or they resort to drugs. Like, doing as much as I can to help.
Yeah.
I think you covered why nice guys finish last perfectly. Yeah. I'm not going to just regurgitate what you said, basically.
I got you.
But
I was talking a lot there.
But you just mentioned at the end there, I think another really great discussion to kind of go in suit with the male therapy conversation. Do you believe in depression? And if so, how do you define it, and what are your thoughts around it?
I believe there is depression, but we try to define it in a way where it's acceptable. Like, you shouldn't be. Why do we defend like being sad all the time? It is real. I just think we're using it in a way to like protect its honor of depression. Going back to what we were talking about before, like most of your depressing problems sounds like first world problems. Like you still have the light bill, you still have lights, you still have food. It's mostly you're lacking in something, but you wanna turn it into, oh, I'm just depressed. But like people have actually been depressed, like PTSD, like going through trauma, like that's legit depression. I call that actual depression, but most people's case is they're not really depressed. They just try to blame it on something. So I'm just depressed. The emotion is real. Like feeling that sense of there's nothing is a real thing. But
I guess I separate out those things. Like for me, like PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, for me, that is a medical condition of the brain. Yeah. It is an illness of the mind. And then I guess I put depression somewhere else, but
maybe it's just, okay, maybe like, not like depression is too strong because I think depression is that. I think just people are just sad all the time. Sad. Yeah. Maybe it's just sad. I don't look at it as depression. You're just sad, but like I said before, you just try to cope and say you're sad because of X, Y, Z. It's like, no, you're sad because you're really not doing anything to better yourself.
Yeah. No, I mean, just to reiterate that, depression really is like a catch-all with just how we currently feel emotions, primarily in the short term, right? So, again, similar to what you're going to talk about, though, there is going to be a distinction between, a condition, medically speaking, versus how people feel, because that can change overnight.
Yeah.
You could have something, and then were you really depressed? I don't know the answer to that. I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to it's more of a emotion rather than a condition or kind of what your brain is or how your brain is functioning.
That's very well said. I do not believe in depression as a medical condition. I think that it's this really nice buzzword and this kind of blanket statement that they can just kind of stamp on anything nowadays. And, you've got doctors prescribing pills for it and this, that, and the other thing, and they're treating it as if it's a medical condition. This is my perspective on what it, like I said, I don't believe in depression as a medical condition, but if it is something, here's what I believe it is. It is not the act of not pursuing your purpose. That's part of it. It's acting against your purpose.
Yeah.
It is.
Good point.
Like, to me, it is doing, that you are not doing things to make yourself better that are in line with your purpose, and yet you're choosing not to do them. And then you're utilizing the depression or quote unquote kind of this belief that depression is this medical condition as the cop out. Because it's a lot easier to say, I'm depressed and that's why I don't even get out of bed. Did you hear about depression as a condition during the Industrial Revolution when men were working 18-hour days in a factory?
Yeah.
Going home and sleeping in some shithole with their entire extended family that had come over on a boat for an opportunity? No, you didn't. Because they didn't have anything else to give. They were doing what they could. Like, depression, this thing that they're trying to push now is, I think that it's propaganda. I think that it's a ploy to sell more pills. I genuinely do. I believe the pharmaceutical companies were like, hey, you know what? Anybody that feels like shit because they're treating their bodies like shit, they're eating like shit, they're not feeling fulfilled in work, they're lonely, let's get them in the clinics because they're feeling like shit. Let's tell them they have this thing called depression and then prescribe a bunch of pills that make them completely numb to the world and society and take all ambition away from them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think just today in society, we almost not accept is not the word I'm looking for, but instead of kind of trying to dig deeper into kind of why are you feeling this way, a lot of the times it's just, oh, that's all right. People in your age generally go through these types of things. Here's this
pill
to go at it. But like you said, there's a lot of natural remedies. And, if you exhaust through those, then maybe there are some deeper things. But if you're depressed, but you sit on the couch eating potato chips all day, I don't want to hear it. Or if you're, working 25 hours a week and you can pick up after shifts, but you're not, I just don't necessarily want to hear that.
There are real conditions, like you mentioned, like PTSD. Like there are real conditions from real trauma. But I have no belief whatsoever in this blanket statement of depression as a medical condition that, like the 18-year-old kid that's 70 pounds overweight, eats Cheetos all day, and then plays 14 hours of Xbox and hasn't seen the light of day in a week is depressed. Yeah. Like, no, the kid needs fucking sunlight, some nutritious food in his body, and to go and be active.
Yeah. One thing quick as well, it's in a way depression can be very relative to society, right? So if somebody, let's say, is growing up in their middle school and they are the only one that does not have a cell phone, like all their friends have cell phones, right? Now this kid's very upset. It's like, at the end of the day, we're talking about first world problems.
Yeah. I just kind of find it sad that we defend it.
That's the problem.
Why do we defend it? I guess I'm sad that like I have to get up at 4:30 in the morning, like 5 days a week. Like that kind of sucks. But it's like I'm not like depressed. Like I can't feel anything. Again, like most of your problems. I'm not talking again. Once again, family passes away. Sure, absolutely, you can feel that way. We're all human beings. We're not robots. But most of your problems is not depression problems. It's like you're just not doing what you need to do.
Yeah.
You're dishonoring your last name. Like why? I don't.
Like family member passes away. It's like you, and you can't get out of bed for 3 days. I would completely expect that of someone.
Sure.
Absolutely. You're not depressed. You're sad.
Yeah.
But they want to stamp depression on
You
it.
don't need mind altering drugs.
Yeah.
Like that's a problem. Like mind altering drugs. Like no. It's like you're a human. You're feeling this right now. Time will pass. You know, go through this. Go through your loved ones. But like you'll be okay.
Yep.
And interesting as well, I think that's a big point of it in terms of we're becoming accepting in society of this. And I think that can go really to a lot of things. Like we can get on this tangent, but now you see, and my girlfriend talked about this with her class, these second graders coming in and they're thinking they're like a rat or something. Yeah. And she said all it took was for her to say, you know, this kid, oh, I'm a rat. And she's like, no, you're not a rat, you're a kid.
Yeah.
And it nipped the bud right there. And today it's like, oh, you know, maybe we can entertain that idea. Yeah. No. And again, there's always the circumstances where there's some leeway there. But a lot of our problems today are just like first world shit, really.
Can you just imagine what teachers back in like our parents or our grandparents' generation would have done?
The nuns with the rulers.
They're trying to get cover. They might get a missile our way.
Oh, you're a rat today? That's great. Stuff them in the school basement with like a block of cheese and
a
bunch of mouse traps everywhere.
Sooner or later you just gotta cut the bullshit because I just think we've lived in a world now where we've become very privileged. Life has been extremely easy. I could go get DoorDash and wait 45 minutes. I don't have to go out. I don't have to meet people. I could just message. I could video game all day. You know, bunch of things. I don't even need to go out and find a girl. I could just go on the dating app. So we've just tried to find things to make ourselves entertainment. I promise you, if there's actual military aid, we would know real quick what's a male, what's a female.
Right.
You're not a rat. You know, we have things to fight for.
We want our rats on the front line.
It's very like you think these commanders on ships or these leaders in the army, the Marines, that no, they ain't falling for that shit, bro.
Yeah.
Like my life's on the line. You know, fuck your feelings.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're coming up to our final 15 minutes. Do you gentlemen have any thoughts on your chest? Any shit on there that you want to bring into conversation? Anything you want to throw in the ring?
I think if you feel like there's no hope, there is. I think you're closer than you think. You're much closer to, you know, where you can be than you think. You feel like you're miles away, you're states away. But getting you in the direction and then just sticking to it, that's only 2 steps. Finding a direction and then just getting in the forefront. You're not that far away. There is hope. There is hope of everything. Your financial situation, if you want that intimate relationship, if you just want to improve in your entire life, there is hope, and you're not that far.
Yeah,
much closer than you think.
I think into that as well. However you go about your life, whether it's male to male relationships, men and women, you really want to bifurcate the emotion and the logical. And if you're going to let emotion drive your entire life, you're going to get, emotional results at the end of the day. Especially in the financial industry, you always see people investing, they start getting worried, they make decisions based on emotion, and it bites them at the end of the day. So if you can go through life, and we're going to deal with emotional problems, right? But you just want to deal with those with logical solutions. And I think if people could take that home, it'll pay a lot of dividends.
I'm going to share this thought that I had yesterday, late in the evening after we got back from recording the podcast. I have these, my best video ideas, subject matters, they always come to me like as soon as I lay down to try and go to sleep. It's like all my thoughts. But I can't count the number of times throughout the course of my life that people have mentioned this saying to me that comparison is the thief of joy. And I really started thinking about that last night. And I realized that it could not be farther from the truth. I think comparison for a man is a beautiful thing. And I think that you should embrace it. I want to look at Nico and say, he's in a better financial situation than I'm in, and I want that. But drop the ego and be willing to go to him and ask, hey, man, you've achieved something that I want. How can I do the same? And also, just with your relationship with yourself. Once again, people are saying, to quote it again, comparison is the thief of joy. I am extremely joyful internally in comparing myself each and every day to who I was the day before. Because I want to ensure that I'm getting better. And I don't think in any way, shape, or form, like, comparison can be a good thing and it can be weaponized. I think that any ambitious man should be constantly comparing himself with his peers, with his competition, and with the man he was yesterday.
I agree with most of that, probably all of it. I would say the only thing I would caveat to that is, at least personally, I am hesitant doing certain things for other people, right? You want to do these things for yourself, for your personal growth. So I don't want to be pursuing this career to please this person or that person. I think the fulfillment aspect for me comes from doing what I love and what I want to do primarily. I don't think we disagree on that. I just want to add that. You want to be careful of people pleasing primarily. Yeah. And we can go back to men and women relationships. You don't want to be that yes guy who's just doing all these things to make her happy. You want to at least have a backbone or a foundation.
Yeah. Two things. One, so it's all perspective. I'm towards your direction. I take it as a positive. Most people are like, man, he has that, she has that, I don't have that, I'm out. And the second thing was just be careful with the comparisons, because what tends to happen is you then become their identity. You need to become your own identity, right? So it's always about perspective, always about perspective.
That's why, going back to it, like, that final step is not to be overlooked.
Yeah.
Ensure that you are comparing yourself with who you were yesterday.
100%.
Look to someone that has something that you want or something that you desire, and then set out to achieve it. You don't have to be them to achieve it, because I guarantee you, if you can find someone on Instagram or what have you that has the nice watch and the nice car and the smoking hot wife, I guarantee you can find millions of other guys that all have that same thing. So it's not that you have to become them. It's just that there's a knowledge barrier. You may want to know what they know or learn what they've learned. Figure it out. Use it as inspiration. Just like what drives a lot of men is competition. And well, maybe not today because testosterone levels are so low, but if you've got a healthy level of testosterone, you should feel a competitive nature in things that you're doing. I can tell you right now, we're going to get a workout in at some point pretty soon. We're planning at Next Level, or Monday.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, Monday.
Tomorrow, 5:30.
I think I'll be able to lift more than you chest-wise? Probably not, predicated upon your build. But I'm going to tell you right now, I will fucking die trying tomorrow.
Yeah, baby.
It's
That's
just,
right.
we're there. I'm not there, but it's in a good way. It's in like, I want to push you, you push me.
We're all pushing each other at the end of the day.
Maybe Nico will come.
I like that. 5:30?
I'll have to make it happen.
Right.
Wait, have you been to Next Level before?
Never. That's
Cool.
Come on,
Yeah,
5:30.
I think I had the monthly and it expired.
Well, let's get some
probably. I'll have
chess.
to talk
Let's
back
get some
about
chess.
You're fine.
But no, that just a great way to talk about this. So, we have our priorities in our bubble, right? And I've dropped that a little bit lately.
I know.
That's okay.
So what you need to do is just
That's
surround
what
yourself with
guys-
those individuals and just.
We're gonna kidnap you. We're gonna take your car for sure. We're taking your car. We're gonna ease our way, all right, to the gym, and then we're hitting chest, and then we'll
Okay.
wake you up, and then hit a little pre-workout, and then we'll get busy.
Cool.
I told you he likes the stimulants.
I'll be down.
All All right, cool. Well, gentlemen, that's a wrap. But I appreciate y'all coming on, and we'll definitely have to do this again.
Colden, appreciate the opportunity always. Nico, always,
Thanks,
brother.
man.